Good morning, all of you students. So yesterday we have discussed about the letter writing, and the skill of letter writing is very important and essential, particularly for your career. And if you know the details, rules and regulations of writing skill, you have no any difficulties in your future lifespan. Okay, so what happened? So writing skill is very important. So yesterday I have already told, in previous days I have already told you, yes, hard, core skills are very essential, core skills are very mandatory for your development, and you should listen carefully, you should speak carefully, you should write carefully, and you should read carefully. Reading makes man perfect, writing makes man also perfect. Good handwriting is an ornament. So yesterday we have already discussed about here the letter writing format. So in particularly in letter writing format, there are different types of the structures. We have already discussed here the sender's address, date, receiver's address, subject, annotations, content, complementary clause. So particularly in your examinations, in your exam, so letter writing as well as CV writing means biodata is very essential. And if you know the rules and regulations of biodata, you have no any difficulties of related this topic. So there are lots of the job applications job available in different areas, in educational field, agriculture field, business field. So there are different types of the areas are there, and if you want to join there, first of all you have to make your biodata and you have to create your own biodata, means curriculum vitae, CV writing in this sense, CV writing. So you have to perfectly, and perfect knowledge is very important, particularly making your biodata. And if you make your biodata correct way, if you make your biodata good way, you have no any difficulties. Biodata is mirror of your life, and if you want to improve yourself, first you have to try to create your own biodata good way, and you have to improve your personalities as well as you should improve your knowledgeable sources. Particularly in job applications, in job there are different types of the jobs available in our area, in world. At that time you should prepare biodata very carefully. You should make your CV writing very carefully, without any problems, without any difficulties. If you make your biodata clear way, if you make your results very good mannerly, you have no any difficulties, particularly for your job. And if you want to acquire good salary, particularly in your future lifespan, so you should achieve movements is very important. Nowadays, particularly 21st century, there are lots of the students need to be alert about the achievements. There are lots of the certificates in school campus, college campus. There are lots of the school programs organized particularly for your developing skill. And if you want to develop your skill, firstly you should try to waste your time to achievements. So you should actively participate in education competitions, and you should acquire certificate, as well as you should actively participate in debate competitions, in college activities, school activities, and you should try to accept certificates, and then you should try to actively participants in different types of the college activities in school campus and college campus. You should try to accept all these certificates very carefully. The making a biodata. So if you want to achieve lots of certificates in your life and your achievements are there, you have to any difficulties in your future lifestyle. So basic knowledge and basic information is very important. And if you try to make your basic knowledge very good way, very enthusiastic way, so you have no any difficulties, you have no any problems. Because what happening here in biodata, there are lots of the informations are there. So there are lots of the points are there. So you should try to understand these points. So particularly you should write down your name correct way. Name is very important. Proper name. So you should write down your first name, second name, and then your surname. So you should try to use your name very carefully correspondence address. Suppose you are living in village area and if you want to if you want to work in the city area, so particularly village areas address is permanent address and city areas address is correspondence address. So basically what happening here, there are two types of the address is very important. One is permanent address and second is correspondence address, and you should write down your correspondence address. Particularly biodata you make very good manner and correctly and clearly without any problems, without any difficulties. And if you make your biodata clear way, so you have no any problems, you have no any difficulties are there. Now you should write down your telephone numbers means mobile number. Some students mobile numbers is very important. Some students reject mobile number, some students delete their first number. So you should try to use your correct and valid mobile number. So when one mobile number is valid, so you don't use 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mobile numbers. Only one number is valid, particularly for your job. And if you want to apply your applications, different applications for job, at that time you should write down your mobile number correctly. And your personal mobile number is very important. You should don't write your friend's mobile number. You don't write your relative's mobile number. So you should try to understand when you apply for job. At that time, your mobile number is compulsory. Your mobile number is mandatory, and you should try to understand your mobile number is valid. There is no any problem. There is no any difficulty. You don't reject SIM card when you submit your mobile number, and after some days, and your mobile number will be rejected or deleted. So what is the use of that thing? So when you are applying for job, when you are learning in school campus, when you are learning in college activity, at that time you should give your proper and personal mobile number as well as valid mobile number. So if you give a valid mobile number, you have no any difficulties for your future lifespan. So basically here telephone number means mobile number you should write down correctly, and then email ID is very important. So in question number 8 question number A and B questions are there. B questions A and B questions are there, and question number 8 is particularly for 5 marks, particularly for 8 number questions, and B questions is there. You should write down letter as well as semi-writing means enclosure there, and in enclosure you should write down the details information. So here email ID is there. So in previous year lots of the people, lots of the students are using letters for communication, and nowadays we are approaching 21st century. There are lots of social medias are there available in market area, available in different education institute, agriculture fields, as well as in business field, as well as in general way. There are lots of the things are there, and if you want to send your stamp copy to one place to another place, at that time basically what is the main functions of the email? Transforming information from one place to another place. So you should write down your correct email ID. Correct email ID is compulsory. Correct email ID is very essential for your developing career. So you have to write down your correct email ID. Now you have one my email ID is here. Sonkambale@.com. Here is my email ID. And if you think one subject, one letter is here is avoid C. So email is not correctly sent to one person to another person. So you should be alert about each and every alphabet. So you should create your own email ID firstly. So what is the process of the creating mail ID? So first of all you should try to use your username and then password at that time, and you should create. Password is secret. You don't send your password to other persons. You don't send your password to anyone, because password is very important. Password is very necessary for your developing career. And if you use your password correctly, you don't write your password on notebook. You don't write your password on diary. You don't write down your password on wall. So you should try to understand each and every points, because email ID is very important, and you don't send your password to any other person. So basically simultaneously and similarly, when you are using Facebook facility, when you are using social media of Facebook, when you are using Twitter, Hike, lots of the apps are there, WhatsApps. So you don't be share your password to anybody, any other persons, because password is very secret. Password is very important nowadays, and you don't write your ATM password in any place. You don't write your email password in any place. You don't write your Facebook password to any place, because this is the very secret things, and you should try to put your secret things in your brain, and you don't be send and don't be write on any place, as well as you don't send your password to other persons, because the email passwords and Facebook passwords is very compulsory, and if you give your password to other persons and other people using your app or Facebook and they sharing messages to other persons with the help of the English language, different types of the symbols are using are there, and sending message from one place to another place. This is a very tragic thing. Aristotle was one of the great philosopher in English literature, and he said, tragedy is an imitation of an action that is serious and complete and certain magnitude. You don't think about the tragic methodology in your life, and if you think the tragic methodology, you have lots of the problems in your future lifespan. You should don't waste your password to anybody, any other persons. So your close relatives are there, as well as your friends are there. So true friends are there. True friends are like diamond, they are there, and true and false friends are like leaves, they are scattered everywhere. So you should don't waste your password to even your friends as well as your other persons, because these things are very secret, and secret things always put in your mind, and secret things always put in your brain, because if you send your password to anybody and your email ID using other person, you have lots of the problems in your future lifestyle. So you should try to understand each and every alphabet is very important. Each and every character is important. So you don't be miss any character. If you want to send email to other persons, if you want to send email to collector, if you want to send email to prime minister, if you want to send mail to chief minister of Maharashtra, at that time you should write down the correct email ID of other persons. So you have to be familiar with the sending information from one person to one place to another place. So because here the important thing is here you should create your own email ID, particularly for your applying for job, as well as in school campus, in college campus. There are different activities are there, and you should be alert about the using email ID good manner. And then you have to be alert about date of birth. You should mention, you should create your, you should write down your date of birth correctly. Lots of the people, lots of the students not sincerely write their date of birth, and they make an error. So you don't make error, and if you make an error, so you have lots of the problems. So in Aadhaar card as well as in PAN card, date of birth is mandatory. So in your school certificate, living school certificate, particularly using in school, at that time you should write down your date of birth correctly. There is you don't be hid your age, don't be hid your aging age. So because if you hid your age, so you have problems in your future lifestyle. So correctly, when your date of birth mentioned on your living certificate of the school, mention the date of birth good way, good manner, and you write down different date of birth. So checking is very important in future lifestyle. Lots of the college authorities, school authorities, and job. If there's some person going to job, at that time all the necessary verification documents is very important, because higher authorities persons like principal, vice principal, other persons see your documents very carefully. Any verification of documents is very essential, and you don't be put your bad information and bad information as well as bad news, particularly included in your biodata. So you don't be make mistake, you don't make error. Particularly you have to write down correct manner your date of birth. Then you have to think about the academic qualifications are there. Why academic qualification is necessary? Why academic qualification is important? So in particularly using biodata as well as here, so you should try to understand your academic qualification. So you have to in academic qualification examinations are there. Suppose your examination SSC completed in one school. At that time you have to write down the board name, subject, year, percentage, your correct subject matters are there. Subject is very important. Which subject to talk, particularly which subject to learn, particularly in college activities. In school activities, you should write down the correct. So basically, your academic qualifications start from 10th standard. You don't write your first class, second class, third class, seventh standard. So you don't write all this information is not necessary, particularly including biodata. So you are particularly include, if you want to include your information academic qualification, you should write down the correct information from start of 10th standard. So you should write down your HSC examinations and board examinations, board university as well as subject. Suppose if you will be completed your graduations as well as post graduations, so you should write down your graduations, where you completed your graduation, which university is under, where you completed your post graduation, which university is under. There are different types of the universities are there, and if you think about positively, and you should write down the correct information in biodata. Correct information is CV writing in curriculum data. So basically, what happening in biodata, you should write down correct information, correct academic qualifications, and all this information is essential and mandatory for your applying job. And if you have your message and your application is perfect, your application is good, you have no your biodata is good, you have no any difficulties for future lifespan, you have no any problems for future lifespan. You should try to understand each and every information very carefully, and then you should try to understand your experience is the very important. Experience is the best experience. Experience is the best teacher. And if you see the experience, why the experience is important? Because if you want good salary for job, at that time lots of people think how many years you have experience, how many years you have experience of the as a teacher, how many years experience as an assistant professor, how many years experience of as a cashier, how many experience as a teacher. So there are how many experience as a clerk. There are different types of the questions asking in front of you. At that time, you should try to develop your career with the help of the experience methodology. Experience is very essential if you want to get good salary. At that time, lots of the dignitaries as well as higher authorities persons see your experience and then give a good salary for you. At that time, so you have to think about the experience. How many years experience? 10 years experience, 10 years experience, 1 year experience, 2 years experience. Whatever you have experience, you should try to mention your experience good manner. And then skills are there. Each and every students have different types of the skill, and if you have good skill, you have no any difficulties. Some students have different types of the skills. So reading newspaper, watching cinema, as well as different types of the skills, dancing skills are there, reading skills are there, speaking skills are there, as well as different types of the skills are there, particularly in the life of the human beings. And skill-based education is very important. You are the student, and you should try to use your brain with the help of the innovative ideas are there. And if you use your innovative idea in manner, you have no any difficulties. And if you don't use your innovative ideas, what is the use of your knowledge? What is the use of your what is the use of your life? So you have to use innovative ideas. So we are approaching 21st century, and there are lots of the materials, lots of the sources available, and you should try to use that sources. Knowledge, you should acquire knowledge. Knowledge is strength, knowledge is power, knowledge is everything. And you should try to understand, you should try to acquire knowledgeable sources in different way. If you acquire knowledgeable sources in different way, so you have no any difficulties. So you should waste your time to read newspaper, you should waste your time to see the English news channels, particularly on television. You should waste your time to spend time with your friends. You should waste your time to spend time with your relatives, and you should waste your time to spend time with different types of the persons are there. So if you spend your time to with good persons, you have no any difficulties, you have no any problem. So you should try to use the skill based education is very important, and you should brain innovatively. Innovative mind is very important nowadays. You should search on observe all these things, and you should maintain which quality I have hidden particularly in my mind. So you should try to understand. You should identify your own existence, and if you identify your own existence, you have no any difficulties. If you don't identify your own existence, what is the use of your knowledge sources? So firstly, you should try to understand. You should try to identify your own existence, and if you identify your own existence good mannerly, you have no any difficulties in your future lifespan. So you should try to understand. You should try to develop your career. You should try to understand each and every parts very carefully, and if you understand each and every parts very carefully, you have no any difficulties in your future lifespan. So you should try to develop your skill. There are different types of the skill, and you should identify which skills I have, which words I have. Some students have good education skills, some students have good essay writing skills, some students have good debate discussion skills, group discussion skills, presentation skills, so time management skills. Different types of skills are there, and you should try to understand your skill. And then language known. So another one is point here, language known. How many languages you have known? So you should try to understand languages. Student, if you know the languages are very important. If you know the basic, some regional languages are there, national languages are there, as well as world languages are there. Regional language you should try to understand. Marathi is your regional language, Hindi is your national language, and English is international language. And I know both basic, I know both language. English, Hindi, Marathi and Kannada. I am living particularly from Karnataka country, and I know the language of Kannada because all of the Karnataka people living there in Akkalkot Taluka means in Solapur district. So I basically am familiar with the Kannada language, and if you all know, if you want to talk with me in Kannada, I always ready to talk with you particularly in Kannada language. So if you familiar with Kannada language, sir, I know the Kannada language, so I would like to speak with you in Kannada language. So you should try to know that basically 2 or 3 languages are very important, particularly for job verifications as well as job requirements. So you have to know the Marathi, Hindi, Kannada. If you know the details of the language structure, you have no any difficulties. Language skill is nowadays language skills is very important. Marathi, Hindi and Kannada is there. So you have to write down your language known. How many languages you know? How many languages are you learn? How many languages you have known? You have to write down. English, Hindi, Kannada, Marathi, Telugu, Gujarati, lots of the languages are there. You should, if you know the details, rules and regulations, details language skill, you should write down your language. Then hobbies and interest. Hobbies and interest are there. So here are you have to write down your which type of the hobbies are there. So hobbies are there. Some students like playing cricket, some students like playing kho. So some hobbies are there. Hobbies means different types of the activities, particularly happening in the life of the students. So some students are watching newspapers, as well as some students are reading different types of the materials are there. So you should try to understand each and every part very carefully and understanding way. So you should write down your hobbies very good mannerly and correctly, which you are interested. So you should write down different types of the hobbies. And then achievements are there. Students, you know, achievements is very important. Nowadays we are approaching 21st century. The college authorities and college authorities organize different types of the activities for you, and you should actually participate in that activity, and you should try to develop your knowledge. You should try to improve your knowledge, and if you try to develop your knowledge and you should try to improve your knowledge, you have no any difficulties basically in your future lifespan. So you should waste your time to achievements of the certificate. So you should actively participate in education competition, actively participate in essay competitions, actively participate in debate discussions. There are different types of the activities organized for you, and you will be able to join there, and you should accept certificate, if they accept certificate, this is your achievement are there. In students life, don't be lazy. Lazy atmosphere, lazy conditions is always danger in the life of the human beings. So you should always be alert about your achievements are there, and you should try to develop your knowledge with the help of the achievements are there. And if you know the achievements means what is meant by achievement, so you should try to participate in different activities. NSS activities are there, NCC activities are there, group discussions activities are there. So there are different types of these activities are there. And if you waste your time to particularly for activities, you have no any difficulties for your future lifespan. So you should try to understand different types of the activities, and if you know the activities, and you should try to develop your career with the help of that activities. And if you know the details, rules and regulations of activity, you have no any problems in your future lifespan. So basically what happening here, name, address. So you should try to understand firstly your proper name, your address, your telephone number, your mail ID, your date of birth, academic qualification, experience, skill, language known, hobbies and achievements are there. So you should write down your proper name, then you should write down your address, then you should write down your mobile number, then you should write down your email ID, and then you should write down your date of birth. In academic qualifications are there, and in academic qualification here you should think about in academic qualification. Basically here what happening here, examinations are there. First of all you have to think about examination. Means your SSC, HSC, graduate, postgraduate, diploma, as well as PhD, NET, SET, all these things are there in academic qualifications are there. As well as MPhil is not here now nowadays. PhD, CTE, TET, lots of the examinations are there. And here HSC, when you completed your HSC, you have to write down the board. Board are very important. So your HSC completed, you should try to understand. So basically I would like to take you the detailed information about that thing, and you should try to understand that in academic qualification. Which things are mentioned particularly in academic qualification, you should be alert about that. Okay. Academic qualification. So in academic qualification here you have to draw diagram basically. First of all you have to write down your examination name. And then here you should write over here board as well as university. And main subject, and then you have to think about the year of passing, and then the percentage or grade. Okay, so you should try to understand all these things. So examinations are there in one side, you have to go here. So your examination, SSC. Board is under, you have to write down. Suppose I have completed my HSC examinations under Pune University, Pune board. So subjects are there: Marathi, English, Hindi, and English. Here you have to write down your correct year and grade percentage. How many percentage you got? You have to write down there. Then here is SSC completed. Okay, and here is HSC, higher secondary education. So where board is Pune. Then you have to write down your subject: English, Hindi, and Marathi. Okay, and year of the passing year and grade. How many marks we have got and year of the passing. And then you have to once again you have to go here. And then you have to write down your graduate, where you completed your graduation. HSC and HSC under in board, and other education means graduation and post graduation under university. You should try to understand. Okay, and university which subjects are there, especially English. Okay, and then year of the passing and once again percentage are there. Once again you have to think about the post graduations are there. Post graduations, how many, which universities are there? So I have completed my post graduations in under Pune University. So you should write down the universities in the Pune University. Okay. Then main subject is English. Then you have to write down the year of passing. Then once again you have to write down your percentage. And another one topic is here diploma. Diploma courses are there. Diploma means where completed diploma. Diploma where is completed your diploma, and you have to write down under once again Pune University. Okay, and write down your main subject English, year of passing and grade, and your courses are there. Which courses you completed? Which courses you have completed? So I have completed CS, where Pune University is under, and name subject is also English. Okay, year of passing write down and percentage write down. So these things are very important, particularly writing in academic qualification. And if you know the detailed rules and regulations of the academic qualification, so correct information you should write down. And suppose you have any activities, you have any knowledge, you have any skills about related topic, so you should write down the correct manner. So courses are there, which courses you have completed, which information you have completed. So these things are very important, and if you know the rules and regulations correct mannerly, so your examination, SSC, HSC, graduate, postgraduate, diploma courses, you should try to understand those things, and you have to write down your board examination subjects are there, year of passing and percentage as well as grade, which type of the grade you achieved, and how many percentage you got in your exam. So you should write down in your CV writing, particularly in biodata. So biodata, your name, address, as well as two types of address are there. One is permanent, second is correspondence address. Your mobile number, your email ID, your date of birth, as well as you should mention on male or female. You should write down. This is the common sense. So you should write down male or female. And then academic qualification, and then experience, and then you have to write down skill, you have to write down the language, hobbies, interests, achievements, and different types of the references are there. So these things are very important, particularly applying for job. So if you want to apply for job, so your biodata is compulsory, your biodata is very necessary, and if you know the structures of the biodata basically good mannerly, you have no any difficulties, you have no any problems. And basically what happening nowadays, lots of the students think about in biodata here is you should improve your academic qualification good mannerly. You should try to develop your academic qualification good mannerly. And if you improve your academic qualification good mannerly, you have no any difficulties in your future lifespan. So you should waste your time to achieve the success. Success comes after hard work, and you have to try to develop your knowledge with the help of the successful sources. And that in academic qualification, you should write down your details. SSC, HSC, graduate, postgraduate, diploma courses. There are different types of the activities happening in your life, and you should write down the details information related to your educational qualification, particularly in CV writing. So you should write down the detailed information of education qualification, as well as how many years of the experience. You should write down the detailed information, and if you know the detailed information about the related in CV writing, so you will be perfect, particularly for job. And if you want a good job, good salary, particularly in different areas, so you should make your biodata clearly, correctly, good mannerly, enthusiastically, and happily. So if you know the detailed rules and regulations of the biodata, and particularly so in name, address, telephone number, email, date of birth, academic qualification, experience, hobbies, interest, language known, as well as different types of the achievements, particularly the school activities, college activities organized for you. And at that time you have to try to understand each and everything, and you should achieve your career. You should develop your career with the help of the personal things as well as particularly biodata you should mention. Biodata is mirror of your life, is mirror of your personality, and you should try to understand. Okay. If you have any problems, any doubt, any difficulties related biodata as well as curriculum, you have to tell me. Only 2 minutes are left. You have to tell me any problems, any difficulties about curriculum vitae, biodata. So this question is very mandatory for you and compulsory for you. So communication process is very important. You should try to communicate with me. If you have any problems, any doubt, any queries, any difficulties related topic, you should frankly tell me.